There's a certain type of person who exists in the margins of memory. They slip out of frame with practiced precision, quietly, effortlessly, as though they're made of mist. You call their name just as the camera raises. You gesture for them to squeeze in. But by the time the shutter clicks, they've already dissolved into the background, repositioning themselves behind someone's shoulder or crouching down in the back row where their face becomes just a sliver, just a suggestion. A ghost in their own story. People assume they're shy, or tired, or simply not in the mood that day. But if you watch closely, you'll notice it's not just that day. It's every day, every birthday, every reunion, every moment that asks them to be witnessed. And the truth? The truth runs deeper than shyness. They don't fear the camera itself, not the lens, not the flash, not the awkwardness of posing. What they fear is what the camera will make permanent. Because a photograph doesn't negotiate. It doesn't soften. It doesn't lie. It captures the version of them they've been trying so desperately not to acknowledge. The curve of a jaw they've memorized as wrong. The smile that never sits quite right on their face, no matter how many times they've practiced it in the mirror. The body they've spent years learning to ignore, to cover, to apologize for. The eyes that look tired even when they're not. The way they take up space, or don't. To everyone else, it's just a picture, a captured moment, a memory. To them, it's a verdict. It's evidence of everything they believe is inadequate about themselves, frozen in time, unable to be taken back. And once it exists, it can be seen, judged, commented on, shared. It becomes something outside their control, and that loss of control feels unbearable. So they step aside. They vanish. They make themselves optional in the narrative of their own life. There's a girl I remember. She was always the designated photographer at every family gathering, the one entrusted with capturing everyone else's happiness. Birthdays, graduations, Thanksgivings, New Year's Eves, she documented them all with care. She had an eye for it, people said. She knew how to frame a moment, how to catch someone mid-laugh, mid-joy. But when you flip through those albums now, she's a ghost story. A presence you feel but rarely see. Maybe her hand rests on someone's shoulder in one photo. Maybe the edge of her sweater appears in the corner of another. But her face, her smile, her proof that she was there, fully, wholly, missing. It wasn't an accident. She once confessed to me, late one night over tea, her voice small and hesitant. Asterisk. I like being the one who captures the moment, because then nobody has to capture me. Asterisk. And it wasn't sadness when she said it. Not exactly. It was something sharper, something older. It was fear. Fear of being misunderstood by her own reflection. Fear that the camera would confirm what she'd always suspected about herself. That she wasn't enough. That she didn't belong in the frame with everyone else. That her presence would somehow diminish the beauty of the moment. People who avoid being photographed become experts at disappearing. They've perfected the art of deflection. They joke, asterisk, oh, I'm so unphotogenic. Asterisk as if that's a real condition. As if some people are simply born incompatible with being seen. They volunteer to take the pictures so they won't have to be in them. They become indispensable behind the camera, so essential, so relied upon, that no one thinks to insist they step in front of it. They say, asterisk, no, I look terrible today. Asterisk as if today is any different from yesterday, or the day before, or the years of days they've said the same thing. They make excuses. They're too sweaty, too tired, not dressed right, having a bad hair day. They'll be in the next one, they promise, but the next one never comes. They're not hiding from the lens. They're hiding from the narrative, the one where they are seen, without permission, without filters, without control, the one where they exist as they are, not as they wish they could be. When they look at an image of themselves, they don't see a memory. They see a list, a catalog of flaws, a confirmation of every cruel thought they've ever had about their appearance. They see someone who doesn't measure up to the version of themselves they think they should be. So they choose invisibility. Because if you're not in the picture, you can't be judged by it. But time is cruel to those who vanish. Years pass, decades, and one day, someone sits down with an old album, maybe a child, maybe a partner, maybe the person themselves, and they start flipping through. They're searching for proof. Proof of laughter, proof of youth, proof of presence, proof that this person who gave so much, who was there for every single moment, actually existed in those moments. And what do they find? A hand on someone's shoulder, the edge of a sleeve, a blur on the far left side of the frame, a shadow where a person should be. They were there. They were there for everything. But they're missing from the record because somewhere along the way, they convinced themselves they made the picture worse, that their absence would be a kindness, that the story looked better without them in it. But the truth, the unbearable, aching truth, is that they were the one thing missing from every perfect shot. The albums feel incomplete not because of what was captured, but because of who chose to erase themselves from the narrative. People think avoiding the camera is about insecurity, and maybe, on the surface, it is. But often, it's something much heavier. It's heartbreak, quiet, private, deep. It's growing up in a world that taught them their beauty was conditional, dependent on angles and lighting and symmetry and someone else's approval. A world that gave them a checklist of requirements for being worthy of being seen. They learned to critique themselves so harshly, with such unrelenting precision, that being seen became a risk, a vulnerability they couldn't afford. They internalized a voice, maybe from a careless comment, maybe from 1,000 images they compared themselves to, that told them they weren't enough. And so they learned to make themselves smaller, quieter, invisible, not because they wanted to be forgotten, but because they were afraid that being remembered would hurt too much. If you're someone who steps out of the frame, who hides behind the lens, who believes the story looks better without you in it, I want you to hear this. A photo isn't meant to flatter. It's not a performance. It's not a test you can fail. It's meant to remember. And the people who love you don't want to look back 10, 20, 30 years from now and search desperately for the place you should have been standing. They don't want to wonder what your smile looked like in that moment. They don't want to piece together your presence from shadows and half glimpses. They want you fully, visibly, unapologetically. You deserve to be in the story you lived. You deserve to take up space in your own memories. So step into the picture. Not for the camera, not for the world, not even for the people around you, but for the person you will be one day. Older, softer, kinder, who will look back at those images and whisper with relief and gratitude. Asterisk. I'm so glad I was there. Asterisk.